What's good, guys? Welcome back to another video. So as you all may know, in today's video we're going to be discussing about AMD and possibly how to pair AMD with other strategies to get a clear confirmation. All right, so we have options to like pair AMD with either liquidity sweep and also CRT. All right, and also we have options to pair up with either fair value gap and CRT. Now I'm going to show you guys some simple things you're going to be doing in the market that's really going to help you identify a good setup for yourself. All right, now this is just for you to grab money from the market. It's not for you to trade or hold for a long period of time. It's for you to grab money from the market. It is not as risky as you think, and at the same time it works perfectly well most of the time. So this is going to help you a whole lot. I'm going to break it down and give you guys a simple example of every single thing that you're going to be doing. All right, so it's as simple as this. Now the first important thing that you're going to be doing in the market is to look for where you see accumulation. All right, it's stretched out accumulation. Now this is something that you're going to be using majorly, and you're going to be using it to trade. All right, so first things first is for you to look for where you see accumulation, and then you look for where you're going to be identifying the market to manipulate to. So let's start from here. Now this is a simple example of every single thing that I'm explaining. If you look from here, all right, and you come over to this point right over here, you notice that the market has actually been accumulating. All right, so this is also called consolidation. It is not going in any direction, it is just gathering up liquidities and is not moving to any direction. All right, now what we're going to be doing here is that after we found these, now we're going to look for where the market is going to manipulate to. All right, it's either the market manipulates to the downside or it manipulates to the upside. But the fun fact is, if it manipulates to the downside, we're going to look for where it manipulates to, and then we're going to look for where it's going to push next to. So if it manipulates the upside, we'll look for where it manipulates to, and then we'll look for where it's going to push into. All right, as simple as this, you can get to like have multiple winning trades with this. So for instance, we'll basically see right here that the market was able to manipulate to the upside, clean out this liquidity. All right, after sweeping out this liquidity, and there's also another POI right at this point which the market was also targeting. All right, now if you check very well, if at any point you get to like zoom in, you're going to see right over here this liquidity was swept out. This particular liquidity right over here was taken out, and after this liquidity was taken out, you're also going to be seeing right over here that we have a fair value gap which is right here. All right, so the fair value gap which is right above here, and this fair value gap was tapped into. All right, you can check it out. Now you can see this fair value gap was actually tapped into. Now from this fair value gap, the next thing you're going to be seeing is a push to the downside. But what gave you confirmation that this particular market is going to come to the downside? That is what we're going to be looking at. All right, so after seeing all this is what you're going to be doing. This is what is going to give you full confirmation. Okay, this is going to go to my direction, this is going to work out. All right, so like I said from the starting of this video, we are going to be able to pair AMD, all right, with liquidity sweep, all right, and also with CRT. Now if you get to understand all these combinations and you pair them together in the market, it's going to help you a whole lot to make money. All right, so first things first, we're going to like start by identifying our sweep of liquidity, which I've already marked out right over here. And after identifying our sweep of liquidity, what we're going to be identifying next is where the market is trading to, where the market is manipulating to. Is it manipulating into a fair value gap and order block? All right, so this is something that you need to look at. So after manipulating into this fair value gap, which we'll basically identify just now, what we're going to be looking at next is our CRT setup. So if you check very well, this particular candle is the beginning of our CRT, and we're going to mark the top of that candle and at the same time still mark the low of that candle. All right, which you're going to be seeing right over here. Now we've marked the top of that particular candle, and we have also been able to mark the low of that candle, which you can basically see perfectly well. All right, So after marking it out, then the next thing we're going to be doing is for us to watch if the next candle is to sweep liquidity above this first candle we mark out. So if you check very well, there is a candle right here which swept liquidity. This particular candle, it has swept liquidity above this candle, and this is a clear proof that yes, liquidity has been swept from that particular candle. So what we're going to be doing now is for us to basically break it down to a lower time frame to see where the market is heading to, what the market is trying to print out for us. Since we are on the 1 hour time frame, mind you can do this on the 4 hour time frame, know the direction of the market, see the consolidation, and then break it down to the 1 hour time frame and see where the market is trading to, and then break it down to 15 to 5 minutes time frame. All right, so we're going to go over to the 15 minutes time frame right now. At this point, we're going to be able to look for where the market is heading to, what the market is trying to print out for us. All right, so right at this point, if you zoom in a little bit, you're going to be seeing the confirmation of this CRT setup. All right, so you can see every single thing right from here. All right, so this is the low, this is the low of the CRT setup, and this is the high of the CRT setup. All right, and if at any point you get to see what the market is basically doing right over at this point, you are going to be able to identify what you're going to do next. So let's say we start from the low of the CRT setup to the high of the CRT setup. Now we use our fib tool to mark it out. All right, now by using our fib tool to mark it out, you're going to see that the market automatically has to trade into our 50%, and then it will retrace back. That is basically giving us a confirmation that yes, we have a change of character in this particular zone, and trading back, we're also going to be able to see on this fair value gap which was created, how many percent are we going to be using from here. That is when we'll break down to the 5 minutes time frame. All right, so going down to the 5 minutes time frame, then you're going to look for where you can actually find out how many percent of this particular amount you can actually use. All right, so let me zoom in a little bit and see if we can basically see that chart. All right, so right over here we can see the chart right here. All right, so we are on the chart right now, and if you look at the chart very well from the 5 minutes time frame, what you're seeing right over here is that we are basically doing a change of character at this point. All right, we have a change of character on the 5 minutes time frame, and after the change of character, then we have a fair value gap which was formed right here. All right, a fair value gap which was formed right there. Now what you're going to do is to use this fair value gap as your entry. All right, you're going to be shorting from this fair value gap as your entry. So what you're going to do is for you to mark right here, and you're going to target below. All right, the low you're going to be targeting is basically going to be the low of this week right over here, right here. All right, that is where you're going to be targeting. All right, so you're going to drag all your take profit down right over here, and make sure your stop losses are above this point. All right, your stop loss is basically just going to be at the top right over here. Now if you notice this particular setup and how this works out in a simple way, you're going to notice the market trade back into the fair value gap which will mark just by tapping into that fair value gap, and then start reversing back all the way down. All right, this is a confirmation that you can actually apply to almost all your trade, and as long as you see it correctly, you are going to benefit from it. All right, so the important thing is you use AMD. All right, and after you use AMD, you use liquidity. All right, after using liquidity, you also have to target a fair value gap. All right, FVG, sorry, and then from there you are going to use CRT. So all these combined together, like I told you, you are going to be in charge of the market and see what is happening. Very simple setup, and you're going to be able to start trading very well. So for the AMD, you are targeting to see accumulation, manipulation, distribution, and for the liquidity, you have to sweep liquidity. If you don't ever see a liquidity sweep, make sure you tap into a fair value gap. So this work in hand. All right, this work in hand, And for the CRT, you have to basically see a change of character. All right, you have to see a change of character, and you have to see a fair value gap, or FVG. All right, and once you are able to like tap into that fair value gap, the fair value gap after your change of character is basically your entry. Now once you tap into that fair value gap, you target the next liquidity, or basically the next low that created this move. Just as simple as that, and you're good to go. If you enjoyed this video, do not forget, make sure to subscribe, and do not forget to hit the like button and share the video with your friends. Peace out, guys.